Okay. All right. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. And thank you for joining us this morning to go through our 2023 volunteer webinar. Just wanted to start first by introducing those who are on the call. My name is Thomas Fazio. I'm one of the tournament managers here at the WSGA. You'll also see Drew Schrader, who is also one of our tournament managers. Jeff Perkle is our director of rules and competitions. And then finally, we have Phil Paletti, our current WSGA president. Just wanted to first start out by saying, we are very excited with the response we've received, and looking forward to all the new volunteers joining our great tournament season here coming up very, very quickly. And before we get started on the presentation, I'm just going to turn it over to Phil, who just has a few words for all of you. So here's Phil.
Well, good morning, everyone, and just wanted to echo Thomas's comments. Thank you for showing an interest in the WSGA. The WSGA is a phenomenal organization. I got involved with the WSGA back in about 2008. And my journey, I'm sure, will be a lot like yours. I was just very interested and have a deep love of the game of golf, and was never really going to be able to make a contribution to it, through my playing ability. So I decided to try to give back to the game that I love by volunteering and helping out, and had an opportunity to, meet some folks along the way. That mentored me and showed me a pathway to give back to the game. And then over the years, through volunteering and through other associations, being asked to be on the USGA Championship Committee, and then working my way up through the board of directors of the WSGA, had the honor of being elected president last fall. So it's been an incredibly rewarding journey, and it's because of people along the way that took an interest in my journey and helped mentor me and teach me how to be a great volunteer. And, when I took over as presidency, really one of the initiatives that I wanted to leave my mark on the WSGA was a legacy of continuing this great tradition of volunteerism by, having more people get involved and experience some of the things that I've done. So I just wanted to talk a little bit this morning about that, and really what the goals of a good volunteer should be with the WSGA. And that is, we have an incredible staff that runs tournaments. They are best in class, in my opinion. I've been involved with some other area allied golf associations around the country, and the WSGA is held in very, very high regard by both the USGA, which we kind of like to call our mothership, as well as other allied golf associations. And it's because of the folks like Jeff and Drew and Thomas, who put really a great effort into organizing these tournaments. But our goal is to provide the WSGA tournament players with the highest level of service of any of the allied golf associations around. And over the years, I have heard countless comments from people who've played in nearby allied golf associations. We like to call them our neighbors to the south, who would much prefer to play in our events than other events, just because the level of professionalism and the way these events are run, they really feel like they're special. They're our customers, and we want to provide them with the best experience possible. And we do that through running a very smooth tournament where pace of play moves along, where people are out there helping players search and spot for balls, and just doing all the things associated with it. So Thomas and the team have put this presentation together to kind of give you guys some ideas what a volunteer is going to be all about. And I'll just tell you that we want to set expectations. It is I had the privilege of attending the first ever USGA PGA Tour referee school down at TPC Sawgrass about a month ago. And we had tour officials, all the USGA rule staff was there. and everybody kind of had the same messages that volunteering and refereeing for tournaments is about 90% boredom with 10% excitement. So what we're trying to prepare you for is being prepared for that 10% worth of excitement. But there's also tremendous friendships and relationships and great camaraderie between all the other volunteers over the years. And I get that feedback a lot from our folks, is that they really enjoy it because they meet some great people. And we really have a lot of fun together at the tournaments. So with those opening words, I want to turn the rest of the presentation over to Thomas and Jeff and the staff. And we'll look forward to having any questions and feedbacks based on this. But again, thank you for your interest in becoming a volunteer with the WSGA. Thomas?
Thank you, Phil. One more comment just before we get into the presentation. For all those that are joining us live right now via YouTube, please use the live chat feature while this webinar is going on. Our staff members are available to answer any questions you have, so please just type into the chat with any questions that might come up during this presentation, and we will get to answering those immediately. So real quick, kind of just going through the agenda, what you guys can expect here this morning. Just wanted to, go through, introduce everyone from the WSJ staff. We'll do a quick overview of the association. We're going to go over a few things, kind of what to bring, what you can expect in a day as a volunteer. A lot of things are provided by the WSJ, but want to make sure everyone is prepared for anything that might come up. We will get into each volunteer responsibilities, the ones that we kind of had sent out initially in our form, asking what you may be interested, player registration, pace of play, ball spotting, and then, your journey to becoming a referee, if that's something that interests you. So we'll kind of just dive deep into each of those, kind of give you guys an idea of what to expect with each of those responsibilities. And then we'll end the presentation with kind of the next steps. So what you guys can expect from the WSGA here moving forward in the next week or so before the season gets going. So moving on real quickly here, just going to kind of go through the WSGA staff as a whole. We do have 7 full-time employees with Rob Jansen, our executive director. Jeff Perkle, who I mentioned, who is on the call. He's our director of rules and competitions. Myself, Thomas, and Drew here as the tournament managers. John Warren is our director of course rating and handicapping. Sophia Mazurik is the assistant director of course rating and handicapping. And we have Sandy Lanen, who is our accounting coordinator, who many of you probably speak to right when you call the WSJ number. And then finally, as I introduced to and Phil has spoken, we have Phil Paletti, our WSJ president. So just kind of going over a quick little overview of the association. The Wisconsin State Golf Association is a nonprofit organization. We're comprised of, a member of golf clubs located in the state, and individual golfing members. The WSJ is directed by a statewide board of directors, including officers, active past presidents, and volunteer associate directors. We are an allied golf association, which kind of falls under the umbrella with the USGA. Many of you obviously know, and we're looking to volunteers for our tournaments. That is a big part of our association. This summer, we'll be running 98 tournaments in total, including all of our USGA qualifiers. But our association does a lot more, outside of just tournaments. When it comes to handicapping, kind of governing the world handicap system in the state, course rating. And we're very fortunate with our rules of golf knowledge here, both being a resource to everyone and also from an education standpoint. Also with the association, we have our WSJ Foundation. And this was organized, really for charitable and educational purposes, primarily to preserve and promote the game of golf in Wisconsin and provide funds for those purposes. The one thing we are really proud of is our foundation, over the past 8 years has provided over $500,000 to support high school golf in Wisconsin, through grants and through our work with youth on course. And again, as I'd mentioned, and kind of introduce everyone from the staff, but we have 7 full-time employees, and we are fortunate enough to hire interns every summer, and we will have 5 interns, all college students. So that helps us out a lot also with our tournament schedule. So moving on here, I'm just going to pass it over to Drew, who will walk you guys through the next few slides.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. Again, I want to echo what Thomas and Phil said. I want to thank everybody for their interest in the WSGA, and really can't tell you how much it means to us. They're long summers, and we have a good group of core people right now, and we're looking forward to adding some new people. So I want to thank everybody. We're just going to cover, some things of what to bring to our events. Typically, we do ask that you guys bring, a fold-up chair. If you're, going to be sitting for a long time out there, sometimes, we have a carpet in case we don't. It never hurts to have a backup option like that. A cooler to supply any of your snacks and drinks and stuff like that. Typically, if a golf course is offering any sort of food and beverage, we, as myself, Jeff, or Thomas, will open up a tab for staff and volunteers. So that'll be fully comp, but it never hurts to have that second option just in case. Obviously, it gets very hot in the summer, so sunscreen is recommended. And then obviously we're outdoors, so you never know what the weather is going to be like. And rain gear would be preferred to bring along as well, just to have in the car if possible. And then a phone charger and a portable charger as well, just in case something goes wrong with the radio and we need a secondary option to reach you at. In terms of volunteer check-in, myself, Thomas, and Jeff think about this, 24 hours before the event of, we'll send out an email 24 hours in advance with all volunteer assignments, arrival times, contact information regarding how to reach us if there's an issue, if you can't make it, or if you're going to run late. We're pretty accommodating, so we'll make the necessary adjustments there for you guys. When you arrive at the course, you'll either check in with, it'll either be us as a staff member or the interns. Sometimes us as staff, we're out on the golf course, so we might not actually, physically be there right away. At the check-in area, we'll be out on the golf course setting up and stuff like that. So you might have to check in with an intern. Volunteer materials will be laid out, radios, clipboards, paperwork for the day. That'll all be laid out by the interns. So if us as staff members aren't there, interns will be more than happy to hand that out to you guys. And then helping gather all the players into their carts for tournament announcements. I know we, especially on, days where we have 2 events in one day, we like to run a very, tight schedule. So we start on time. The more we can get those players going towards their golf carts so we can get announcements going and get them out on the golf course at the proper time, the better. And then just be in position when the air horn blasts to start the signal of play. Like I said, we just want to make sure the event starts on time. So we just ask that everybody's in position when that time arrives. Player registration. So in the staff's van or, SUV, we bring along our WSGA tent and our registration table. It'll open an hour and a half before the shotgun start. We just ask, you check in all the players and inform us as staff of players who aren't present. So when they are getting warmed up and stuff like that, or in their carts and we're getting ready to do announcements, we can then go and find them to see if they are here or they aren't here, to give them the requisite information that they need and the paperwork they need. Passing out player materials, like I said, scorecards, notice to players, whole location sheets, everything that the player's going to need for their day. That's what we need them to have when they check in. And then something we just recently started post-COVID was mobile scoring. So when players check in, we just need one member of that group to volunteer to do the mobile scoring. And we can train you as staff, or interns can train you on to how to get players logged in to that mobile app so they can take the score down for the group. And then just engaging our players with a positive, exciting energy. It's going to be the first point of contact at our events, and we just want to make sure that, the day starts off on a positive note, and that it just sets up for a great day on the golf course.
All right, moving on to one of our other positions that we had posted, which is pace of play. You did a great job explaining the other ones, but again, obviously as new volunteers, you'll never be put in one of these positions immediately by yourself, kind of doing things on your own. You'll always have, a staff member right away to help you, or an intern, and also other volunteers there as well. But in terms of a pace of play official, as Phil said, we really pride ourselves on, making sure these events are run very smoothly and rather quickly. Obviously, no one enjoys being out there all day long, so we definitely do pride ourselves in keeping a good pace of play. But what you can kind of expect as a pace of play official, as Drew said in the morning, when you grab your materials, your pace of play sheet will be on that clipboard. This will have the allotted times in which groups need to finish the hole that you will be on. Obviously, your job is to monitor and indicate if a group is out of position or where their position is on the course. When a group is out of position at your checkpoint, the players in the group are liable to a penalty under this policy and will be notified as such by the official. So I keep referencing out of position, and to kind of explain what out of position means is a group, there's 2 requirements that a group needs to hit to be out of position. And this is timed by when all players in the group have holed out and the flag stick has been placed in the hole. So right when those 2 things happen, if a group both takes more than the maximum allowed time to finish a hole, so if they exceed the time that is on the sheet that you see, and they also complete the play of hole more than 15 minutes after the group ahead of them, that is when they are liable to a penalty. So again, they need to miss both of these requirements. If that were to happen, that is when you get on the radio and signal one of our rules officials, and we will be able to take the necessary steps moving forward. But again, the main thing here as a pace of play official is that a group needs to miss both of these requirements to technically be out of position. As I said, please just report that over the radio to the WSJ staff member or the other rules officials there, and we'll be able to take any action that is needed. The one thing we always do encourage in our events is to play ready golf. So if you do see a group, that may not be missing these 2 requirements, but, is starting to fall behind on one of them, please just always, make the comment to them that they can play ready golf, and we encourage ready golf, just to keep the pace of play up. So again, yep, go ahead, Phil.
Thomas, could you, for everybody listening, why don't you give an example of how a volunteer would get on the radio and report to the player or a group is out of position, and just maybe give an example of how they would report that?
Yeah, definitely. So you would just get onto the radio, obviously make sure it's clear. Let's just say, one of the 4 of us is there. Let's say I'm on hole 2. So I would say, this is Thomas. Here is the pace of play official on hole 2. The group that teed off on hole number 1 is out of position. They are 16 minutes behind the group ahead of them, and they are behind their time by 3 minutes. So simply, you would just need to be very clear as to how much they are over their time, based on like I said, the time that is on your sheet, and also how far behind they are the group ahead of them. So it is very important that you write this information down. You should write down every group, whether they are out of position or in position. So every time that group puts the flag in the hole, after completion of that hole, please write down what time that is. So that gives us a really, really clear reference as to when that group finished and if they are in position or out of position.
Yeah. Every pace of play official will be provided with a spreadsheet of the times that we lay out based on the time and the hole that they teed off as to what time they're going to be completing the hole that you're assigned to. And you'll be able to indicate on there, as Thomas mentioned, the exact time of that when that flag stick went in and whether they're under their maximum allowable time or they're over, and whether they finish within 15 minutes of the group in front of them. And that way, that information again will be relayed to the rules officials, and the rules officials will speak to them about, and you're not going to be required to do that. The rules officials are very savvy, and they know how to approach players, when to approach them, and they're the ones that will be indicating to the players in that group that they could be subject to a penalty for being out of position.
Exactly. All right, moving on then here. On to ball spotting. So this is one of the easier topics, at least to talk about here on the presentation. But again, this is very, very valuable when it comes to, again, pace of play, like we just talked about, and kind of the experience for all players in our events. So our staff will assign the ball spotters their location on the course. We have a pretty good idea as to, the layout of every course that we are on, especially after setting up the golf course. So we'll put you, in positions that, maybe blind shots, blind landing areas, just trouble areas when it comes to penalty areas, out of bounds, things like that. So we'll put you out in what's, you will determine the landing area, on a par 4. If you're, viewing the tee shot, you'll get a good idea after a few groups have gone through, kind of as to how far those tee shots are going. We'll put you into that landing area. And again, you will really just be assisting players in, finding and identifying their golf balls. The one big thing here is that you are allowed 3 minutes is the allowable time to search for and identify your golf ball. And after 3 minutes, your golf ball is determined to be lost. So it's very important here to have, a stopwatch. We have stopwatches that we bring and can provide to ball spotters, cell phones, watches, anything like that, where you can track that 3-minute time. But the second that search begins, we ask that you, start your watch, and the second that 3 minutes expires, we need to inform that player. But again, this responsibility is going to, really help with pace of play, and obviously the overall, enjoyment for a player. None of us enjoy losing golf balls. So anything we can do to help, find and identify every player's ball, and continue the play of the course.
Thomas, one of the comments I want to make along that is when you're going to be assigned to an area, we will definitely have, for the first couple of tournaments, some rules officials that'll help you with that. And you'll get a real good feeling as to when the official search time starts. The rules of golf are very clear as to when that the search time is actually initial time when it starts, and you'll know that. And then you'll have the rules official will guide you and tell you exactly how to help the players search for their ball, when and when not to speak to the player about identifying the ball. If, for example, a ball is found within 3 minutes but not identified within 3 minutes because of the time, they'll walk you through those procedures. So we're not just going to throw you out there and say, okay, here's a rule book and here's a stopwatch. Go look for help look golf balls. We'll train you and give you the confidence to be able to be a really good. But this is a super important aspect of volunteering because, again, as Thomas said, this really helps us with pace of play. And you'll also be able to, get a feel for when to signal back to the tee to hit a provisional, if that's going to be necessary to help with pace of play as well.
Yeah, exactly. And kind of branching off that, with all these responsibilities that we're, kind of going through right now, when you do arrive for your first event here and help and volunteer with the WSGA, you will have another official that you will be shadowing. So we will not be putting you, into a position immediately. We want you to be comfortable. We want you to kind of get a feel for each responsibility, how the events go, the players, everything. So again, for every responsibility that we're going over, you will have a shadow opportunity to learn from, our great group of volunteers and see the right way to do each role we have. Our final role here that we're going to go over is just becoming a referee. As I stated, we're very fortunate with our rules of golf knowledge here in Wisconsin, with our group of volunteers, our certified referees, those leading, a lot of our educational work that we do. We are very fortunate. This is open to anyone who, has the interest of becoming a referee. Just kind of wanted to walk through, kind of the process to become a certified official. You do need to take one of the rules exams, one of the national exams. There's the 100-question national exam, and there's also the 80-question exam, which we can proctor here at the Wisconsin Golf House. The 100-question national exam is strictly ran through the USGA, which has now the opportunity to take it virtually online, or also if you attend one of their rules of golf workshops, you can take the exam in person following that workshop. There is 2 certifications you can earn by scoring a 90 and above out of 100. You can receive the expert certification, which will allow you to potentially work US Opens and some of the USGA's major events. And then 75 to an 89 out of the 100 will get you an advanced certification. Again, 75 being the score, the passing score. Out of the 80-question exam, you can only earn your advanced certification, and that is done so by getting a score of 70 or higher out of 80. And then we kind of allow a third certification, if you want to call it, where if you score above a 60 out of 80, you can work as a referee at WSGA events, and, just continue your rules of golf knowledge. The things you'll see listed to my right, and then also here on the last few bullet points, are a lot of our educational resources. You have our Rule School podcast, which can be found on any platform that you can download podcasts. This has been a really good resource that we created. We're in our 2nd season here now with obviously the new rules being put into effect in 2023. How this works is each episode, there's 25 episodes, each episode focusing on one rule at a time. And it's just a really good, deep dive right out of the rule book. You'll hear from Dan Stolper and John Morissette, 2 of our lead officials and, the head of our rules committee. And their knowledge is incredible. So you'll learn a lot from them. Also, if you go to our YouTube channel, which you've all visited, obviously watching this video, you can see our WSGA review sessions, which is actually where we take the audio from to create our podcast. These videos can get a little longer, but each review session will cover 5 rules at a time. And again, these were held over the winter here in the WSGA office. So you can hear some good questions being asked. And again, just a really, really good learning resource taught by John Morissette and Dan Stolper. And then, finally, you have all the USGA resources. View the USGA website. They have some very good interactive videos, some short courses, some quizzes, just a lot of really good resources to begin your rules education. And then finally, every year, there are the PGA and USGA rules of golf workshops. A schedule comes out, and these are kind of hosted all over the US. They take course over the weekend. So you sit in a workshop Friday, Saturday, Sunday, with the opportunity to take the exam on Monday. So again, anyone who is beginning their rules of golf education, wants to become a referee, I would highly recommend attending one of these. They also now provide a virtual rule school. So there is one where you can attend virtually, but their videos are excellent as well. So again, at this time, it's really just about beginning your rules of golf knowledge, kind of taking the exam to get that certification. And again, like I said, if anyone is interested in taking the exam and is interested in the 80-question exam that we can proctor, definitely reach out to our office and we will try and set up a time to do so. But again, this is it's a difficult topic when you start, so don't be discouraged. It takes a lot of people a little bit of time and, maybe a couple times through the exam to really get the hang of it. So definitely don't be discouraged. All four of us here on this call have gone through this process. So if anyone needs, any questions, any pointers, anything, reach out to all of us. But I definitely encourage, like I said, to not be discouraged at all. It's a little bit of a daunting task, right, when you begin.
I would like to echo Thomas's comments. When I first got introduced to this idea, I thought, well, how hard can it be? I've been playing golf my whole life. I kind of know the rules. Just you get a radio and you use the antenna to point as to where the ball last crossed the margin of whatever object you're trying to define. But my first exam, I failed miserably. My second exam, I did a little bit better, and it really wasn't until we tapped into the resources of people like John Morissette and Dan Stolper, and we put together these rule schools that I took my knowledge and to a whole different level, and it really made a huge difference. But it wasn't until you fail until you can really understand and appreciate how to succeed, and it all comes together. And Thomas is exactly right. Don't be discouraged. We're not going to ask you to answer and do difficult rule situations. That's why we have people like John and Dan and Jeff and the rest of the people here to work through these issues. So, but it's fun. It's a really a mental challenge to get your arms around all the intricacies of the rules of golf. But once you achieve that, it's very rewarding on a lot of levels. So I just wanted to reiterate those comments. And we talk about your certain certifications. I think sometimes I have to be certifiably crazy to be spending 125 hours during the winter studying for an exam where you walk out of it and you feel like you've been through the spin cycle of a washing machine. Like, why am I doing this? This is supposed to be fun. And but when you get to do events like US Opens and other championships, it really is a lot of fun, but you pay the price. No.
Definitely. But yeah, please use all these resources, that I've listed here. And if you go to the WSGA website as well, under our rules, we do have a few more sites to use. But again, you gotta start at some point, and everyone here with the WSJ as a staff are definitely resources, beginning your journey. So please reach out. All right, so kind of what you can expect here moving forward now, from us as a staff, as our season begins very quickly, coming up here very quickly. So obviously your next couple steps, obviously to attend your first WSJ event as a volunteer. We're very excited for all the new volunteers, wanting to get involved in our events, and we can't wait to meet all of you and have you out to many events. The big thing will be, you guys can expect next week, you'll receive another email from us with volunteer opportunities in May. As I kind of stated a few times, we want everybody to have the opportunity to shadow some of our volunteers at an event. We don't want to have to put anyone out there, feeling uncomfortable with what their responsibility may be. So we're going to have obviously a lot of events here in May, and we'll be sending out an email here, like I said, next week, which will allow you guys to sign up for events where we will need some volunteer and some extra help. And again, we'll pair you up with another volunteer out there, a staff member, potentially an intern, depending, what it looks like. But we want to get you out there, kind of shadowing, whichever role you are most comfortable with, from registration to ball spotting to pace of play. So again, next week, expect another email with some of these opportunities, which you guys will be able to sign up. And then after you register for that first event through us, and we get you to the course, you'll receive a package from us that'll include your WSJ hat, which you can see I have on here right now, a white golf shirt with our WSJ logo, and we'll get you a lanyard, serving as a name badge. So all of our volunteers and our staff have matching outfits out on the course, which makes it very, very easy for for players to flag us down with any questions or anything, they may need throughout their round. So again, I can't stress, enough how excited we are for all the new volunteers to join our tournaments and our tournament committee here coming up in this summer. But again, be on the lookout for an email from our staff coming out next week. Just to wrap things up here before I pass it on to anyone else for some final remarks. If you guys have any questions moving forward that were not, did not come up here and entered into the live chat that we responded to, please reach out to us at the WSGA. I believe many of you have my email now from some of the emails I've sent out, so feel free to contact me via email or email info@wsja.org, and a staff member will get back to you as soon as possible. You can also always reach us by phone, which I have the number listed here, with any questions you have at all. But otherwise, just, for me, just wrapping things up here, I just want to thank you guys, for attending this webinar today. Hopefully it kind of cleared up some information, and provided you guys with some knowledge moving forward here. And, hopefully you guys are excited as we are for the season coming up. So I'll leave it open here to Drew, Phil, or Jeff if you guys have any final remarks before we wrap things up today.
I'm good.
I'm also good.
Yeah, I just want to say, thank you to everybody who expressed interest. I think, like Thomas said, it was over 400 individuals that, registered that had interest in becoming a volunteer. And as kind of what Phil said earlier, that really is what sets us apart from other state golf associations is the volunteers that we have that, no matter what the level is, the high handicap to the low handicap, we always seem to have volunteers that are willing to give back to the game. And not only us as staff appreciate that, but I do know as being a former player and working now, the players really do appreciate that as well. And we hope to continue to grow that. So just want to say thank you to everybody and look forward to seeing everybody this summer in some capacity.
All right, perfect. Well, as Jeff said, thank you guys, and we look forward to seeing you here soon.